I remember starting my car, and then I remember putting it in park in my driveway at home. I don't remember driving home. Scariest thing in the world. And I literally had to walk around the car and make sure I didn't hit something because I don't remember driving home.
Welcome back to the Health, Tech, and Wellness podcast. We have John with us today again, of course. We're back to talk about, I just returned from Puerto Rico. So during my travels, when I travel for a lot of reasons, but this one particular was a reset for me. I work all of November and December because it's the holiday season in retail. So I work every single day except for Thanksgiving. So when I leave for my January trip, it's like, it's like a sigh of relief. I can, just kind of turn my mind off. On this trip, I did a lot of things, but one of my things that stood out the most was it was called the survival hike. And it kind of pushes you a little bit. It's pretty strenuous. It's hot. You're using your hands, your feet to move through the hike, but it's also very rewarding. So that was a moment like when I was on the top of the cliff and I'm looking down and I'm thinking, wow, like I did all that. I got this far. So that's one of my moments that really stuck out to me. Just standing there, being quiet, listening to the waves. So that was one of the things. I don't know if everybody else what they do to ground themselves, but that's what I do. Flying keeps me grounded, basically. John, how about you?
We're definitely going to have to go back to that survival hike because I intentionally tried not to ask you too much about this trip so we can have things to talk about on this episode. But for me, I'll be honest, and this is really going to go against the health mindset, but, me and Cindy, we like to play poker, and that's just one of those times where I can get in my zen, right? So if life's going bad, I'll tell Cindy, let's get a poker game going, just because it's kind of one of those things. And one thing that I really think that people should understand is as long as it's healthy, we're not taking money away from the bills or whatever. But if you have a healthy habit, it could be bowling, could be poker, could be going dancing, could be whatever, could be traveling. Those are the things that you need to lean on when that stress hits, right? So yeah, that for us, it's poker. I also just like to get in the car and just go for a drive and listen to music, just be by myself.
You ever play that penny game when you take a drive?
Game, no.
Oh, you got to do this. So you get in the car and you take a penny. If you get heads, you turn left. If you get tails, you turn right. And you literally just keep flipping the penny and see where you end up. I can see you and Cindy doing that.
We're going to have to try that. Yeah. Cause just to go for a little drive. So flip the coin left or right.
Yep.
So you doing that every intersection?
Every time you have to stop, whether it's a stop sign, a stoplight.
Okay.
Yep. Anytime you feel like if you drove too long and you haven't done anything, then flip it and turn, Well,
I was going to say, okay, that makes more sense because I end up going in a circle because there's no straight, right? You said left or right. So keep going straight. Okay. I got, so yeah, that was kind of my thing is I just like to go for a drive. I like to play poker. For you, you do a ton of traveling. So, coming back from this trip had, just, how was your reset coming back from the trip? Because I know with me, going for a drive, a lot of times I can get that quiet time where I can think about, okay, what's been bothering me, what's going on. And a lot of times, you're talking to yourself and things start to click and you start to feel better about things and you're releasing things. So I'm sure you had a couple of those moments coming back from the trip, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I traveled with a travel buddy who I only traveled with one other time. So during that time when you're traveling, we got to talk a lot. We got to kind of share our lives, what was going on in our lives, things we've dealt with and struggled with. So there was a lot of reflecting my entire trip. Like it wasn't just fun. Like we literally sat still. We took a, evaluation of our lives. And we're both in business. So she owns her own business as well. So there's a lot of stress with number one, being single and trying to run a business. And she's been single and running her business for 15 years. So she teaches me a lot too, like with the questions that I ask her. because she's way she's way smarter than me. And I'll just say no, but she has a lot of knowledge, a lot of knowledge.
And that's why I brought you on, because you're a lot smarter than I am.
That Pinocchio nose is growing.
Hey, now.
Oh, shoot.
So yeah, so let's talk about your trip a little bit. So you went to Puerto Rico, and while you were there, you were talking about this survival hike. So is that something that you planned on doing before you went, or did that just come out of the blue? Let's talk about this hike, because I'm very curious.
So I went on it one other time, but I was hiking alone. So when you're hiking alone and that kind of, there's zero reception. So if you're alone and there's no one on the trail and something happens, it's not a good day. So I limited myself to only going to the first two lookouts on my first hike. And this one we went just a little bit further, um, just to see, because I wanted to have someone with me basically if something was to happen. Like you have to look at your feet constantly. You're looking down, you're grabbing roots, you're climbing up, it's not just like a little walking down a trail kind of situation. Plus the other thing that gets you is the heat. The heat. So you're like dealing with that. But yeah, I planned on doing it, and I plan on doing it again. So the next time I go, I'll go a little further. So like the next, each time I try to go just a little further.
I like that. But that goes right with everything that we talk about, right? So
Right.
that first small little baby step, and now you're going to do it a little. That's awesome. And yeah, first off, ever since I fell from the train, there ain't no way I'm doing any of that climbing. And if you miss the wrong step, you're falling, because my whole head would just be spinning. So congrats on even going on the trail. So I guess my question for you, I guess going into this trip, um, you spent all that time. You said November and December, you worked pretty much every single day. And then you go on the trip. So that had to be a huge just mental break for you coming back. Anything that you brought back with you, kind of like guidance, or anything that you and her discovered on this trip that you came back and you said, man, I'm so glad that I had that mental reset. And it's giving me a new mental anchor to bring into this year.
Okay, so yes. So the moment that really was different in this trip, like I go to Puerto Rico every single year. So since I was 18 years old. So it is kind of like my second home. So there's this guy there, and his name is Coochie, and he's 87 years old. And he has spent the last 50 years building this castle house. It's called the Love Castle, but they're made out of shells. He's hand done the entire thing. So this time, out of all the times I've come and visited him, he actually invited us into his home and showed us the work that he was like in a work in progress. He's out there at 87 years old, no shirt on, and pouring concrete. I mean, he is so inspirational. Like 50 years this man has devoted to building this castle. It's amazing. So that was like a really, like I was like tearful. Like I couldn't believe, like, every time I go there, I go visit him every single time. He's usually outside and he's doing work on the house. But this time it was just like, wow, like he really told us a lot about his history and everything. So it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. But it really made me reflect and ask myself, am I doing enough? And I know we try to talk about, putting things in order and just doing a little bit here and there. But really, when you look at a man who's done that, am I really doing enough? Am I living the best life I can? Or am I
Yeah.
just surviving and going like this? So,
Yeah. Through
yeah.
the motions.
So that was a really big moment. Like I'm 44, like I'm getting to that other half of my life where, like, okay, anything could happen. Anything could happen. Am I living a life that leaves a legacy behind? Am I leaving
Yeah.
something on people that they'll remember about me that's positive and uplifting? And I found it was remarkable to have that experience with him.
No, that's a huge eye-opening thing, because I think about that all the time, especially over this journey, as far as I've come. And, of course, there's always those little setbacks, but as far as I've come, I still always think, what else can I do? Is there anything more that I can do? And that's why I always ground myself in just going back to, am I doing the small things first? If I'm doing the small things, I'll get there. But yes, I'm always trying to push that little extra. And then since you challenged me a couple episodes ago on that making it a higher goal each time, that's really kind of pushed me a little further. So I think we'll talk about that here in the future, on how that's changed, because my whole routine has really changed. Because I like what you said, and you did. Yes, I have goals, but I didn't have each goal set for each workout for each thing. So that's huge.
It makes it
Yeah, the
exciting,
man's been. It makes it so
right?
exciting, and the man's been, like you said, he's been building it for how many years now?
50 years,
Yeah, 50 years. So,
87.
and he's
And
not
he's
even
out
close to
there
being done.
pouring concrete.
Yeah, that's insane. But here, that's a big thing. There was a gentleman that used to live by my sister and brother-in-law, and he was 90 something, I think, when he passed away. But the guy would go out every day. He didn't have gas heat. He had a wood burner in his house, and he would go out every day and chop up wood and
Oh,
bring it into
yeah.
the house. And he lived to be 90, a healthy man. Like, how many of us are getting sick at 50 and 60 because we're
Yeah.
not doing that stuff? So that's why we're starting these journeys. The sad part is, for me, it took until 43 to have the recollection that I had, but that's why we want to live as happy and healthy as we can for as long as we can. So that's awesome. So I guess when you're coming back from this trip and you're kind of grounding yourself back to reality, um, what's the first thing that you do? I am terrible with this because I like to say I need a vacation from my vacation. I come back and I'm beat, and I don't really want to get right back into life. Where do you go? Where does your mind go when you come back? Are you just ready to rip and roar? Because I know I'm not.
So yes, I usually am. I'm usually recharged. Like I'm ready to like experience some different things at home. Like I only have a week break and I'm gone again. And I'll be going for a 2-week road trip. So that'll be a completely different kind of traveling. Now, when I get back from that one, I'm gonna be tired.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be real tired. But this one was like a
yeah.
relaxed vacation where I
Mhm.
could relax and recharge. This next one is going to be a lot of work, but also very fun. Like we're gonna do some challenging things on this one. So I'm excited because I've never traveled this way. I'm like
Mhm.
sleeping in a van and
Mhm.
cooking out the back door and all those kinds of things. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, if you can do this trail, I'm sure you can do the driving piece. Driving rideshare, I can tell you though, I have thrown trash in my life. I've done a lot of physical labor in my life, sitting behind the wheel. And if there's any truck drivers or over the road people that are going to listen to this or hear this, throw it in the comments, and hopefully you agree with me. I don't think I've ever been more tired driving for 8 to 10 hours a day than I ever was on any of my physical jobs. And I don't know if it's just due to the fact that you're just sitting, and maybe just the boredom, but you're going to have a friend with you. So, that'll be fun. But yeah, that's huge too. So you're coming back for a week and then you're gone. So,
I leave
man, you're
Friday.
just, you keep going. Yeah. Wow.
Hmm.
Um, so let's go back to your trip. And I've never been to Puerto Rico, but you're on a small island, surrounded by water, and you were talking about in two two episodes ago, you were talking about going to the lake where we live by Lake Erie, and you like to go to the water there. Um, any different experiences being in Puerto Rico by the ocean versus our lake that looks like an ocean from the shore, except for the dirty sand?
Yeah, so it's honestly it's the same in my mind. It's really the
Yeah.
same. Like Yuri has my heart. Like there's no real difference other than you can't get eaten out by a shark out here. But I gotta share this. This was a really cool thing. I do want to share this really quick. I love swimming, right? I'm not so keen on swimming in the ocean just because of the jellyfish and all the things. I do. I snorkel, I do all those things. But this time we did the bioluminescent bay, which is a whole nother ball game because you're underwater in the dark. Yeah, yeah, a little scary.
Yeah, no. I could probably that I could do because it's not the heights thing and I like water, but yeah, when you're out in the ocean and just yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But it's
Hopefully
so neat because
sharks
when
and
you move your
stuff.
hands, it glows.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
it's like dust. It's like sparkly dust when you move your hands and you swim when you kick your feet or any of that.
Yeah.
So it is a really cool experience.
Is that
So I
like
mean,
the
with
algae?
yeah, it's the algae. Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
hmm
Nice.
It's really cool. So that was really interesting. But I mean, there is some differences to the ocean, but I prefer Lake Erie, honestly.
No, I'm the same way. We went to Myrtle Beach and I mean, yeah, the to me it looked like because our lake is just so big. It other than the sand was white versus our dirty sand, I mean, it felt the same to me. Um, so on the reset piece, any other things that you did on the trip?
So every time I go, I travel to Puerto Rico, I go to collect things out of the water. So I go to get different shells. Something different that I brought back this time was driftwood. I've never done that before, so I brought back bamboo. And so I have some new ideas. I'm going to make some Christmas trees out of the bamboo going this way and layering it and then putting beach glass in between it. And with the bamboo, it's perfect. It's like super thin and long,
Yeah.
perfectly done edges. So that's something I don't usually collect when I'm there. I've not collected driftwood from there ever in all these years. But there was less stuff to collect off the beach this year. So I
Mhm,
decided, like, I saw this wood. I'm like, okay, well, what can I do with this? And so I just
mhm.
started hoarding it. So that's my new project that I'm going to start working on.
Awesome. So no, that's huge. So there was so a lot of intention behind the trip. That's huge. Let's go into something me and you were talking about before we went on the air here. Because when we travel for reset, that's huge, right? So you do a lot of traveling, I go driving or we play poker. But when it comes to just our life, burnout in general hits really hard. So that's the whole purpose behind you taking your trips or me going for a drive or me going, Cindy, hey, let's get some people together, let's play some poker. And we were talking about just our daily lives and we want to push, we want to give that 110%. We want to, go above and beyond. But and I like we were talking, I brought this up in a previous episode, but how many people listening right now, you go to work, you feel like, you're giving everything and nobody else is, and you're sitting through lunch right now, probably. Well, we're at the time we're recording, it's 12:30 p.m. So you're probably sitting at lunch if you listen during lunch and you hear this in the future. Um, how many of you are sitting in front of your computer working and it's lunch? Why do we feel obligated to do that? Those are breaks that you need that mental reset, right? You need to step away, even if it's not a trip. I say the whole purpose behind this episode is how flights kind of ground Crystal. And for me, taking a drive, but we need to also take those little mental resets, right? In our daily lives, whether it's just make sure you take your lunch break or just going back to the, meditation piece, just taking even 5 minutes and just closing your eyes and just pull away from the daily grind, right? Um, have you ever done that? I know that I was a bad example of it at my previous job. I'd sit at my desk eating lunch and working.
Yep.
And it led to a lot of my burnout in my previous
Yep.
career.
So I realized too, like when I quit smoking, like when you're a smoker, you always carved out that time to smoke. So when you stopped smoking, it was like, well, I don't really need to go anywhere. I'll just sit here and keep working. So it was a habit of mine for sure. Like especially when I quit smoking, there's no reason for me to go and take a break for myself. But now, like I'm in a different way now. Like I take my time.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, I'll just push myself away from my desk if I'm making something, and like say I've messed it up 3 or 4 times and I'm cutting it apart. I'm like, okay, it's break time. Like you need 10 minutes. So sometimes I'll just walk outside back and forth a few times. Sometimes I'll put on a podcast and I'll listen to something positive and inspirational. Sometimes I'll just close my eyes and just relax for a minute. So we all need that. And it's proven that if you do that, if you take the breaks, that you come back
Mhm.
stronger. that you're capable and you'll get more accomplished.
100%. And here, I'll even tell you this. So when I wrote my novel, um, I would sit and get on a writing tangent and just go and go and go. And then all of a sudden, I'm off on a place in a story that I didn't even think didn't want to go to, or it wasn't even part of it. And something just happens. I'd have to, okay, my eyes are getting blurry. I'm not even in this anymore. Take a break.
Right.
So it could be something you even enjoy. Sometimes you've just got to pull yourself back and mentally reset. And that's kind of the whole purpose behind this episode in total, is those mental resets, right? Um, I did it when I was writing my book, you know, at work. My, you're talking about the smoking piece. Um, I was terrible because with my job, we were at a facility with mechanics and stuff like that. So I was always checking on vehicles. That gave me an excuse to smoke. So I didn't even really get a break to smoke. I just kept grinding. And that was one part of my biggest burnout piece is I didn't push myself to take those small little resets because I was always concerned that if I didn't stop, or if I did stop, things would fall apart. Or I was the worst when it came to delegation or, you know, trust but verify, giving it to somebody else. And now that, you know, I'm kind of, I guess I hate to say self-employed because I still work for, you know, the rideshare companies, but now that I do my own thing, it's been a lot easier to take those breaks because I feel like I'm in control of what I'm doing. But I think even in, you know, a 9 to 5, or if you have one of those, you know, a regular career where you're working for other people, or even if you're not, if you're working for yourself, you've got to give yourself that permission to just step away. Um, that's going to be like the overdriving force of this full episode is that those trips, the breaks at lunch, the just your 15-minute breaks, or just in general in life, just give yourself permission to step away. And I think that that is probably the toughest part for a lot of people, especially when you have a job or a goal that you're trying to strive to. And that goes back to those small things. Okay. So Crystal, in your life, I know that you just came back from this trip. You're getting ready to go on another, but you know, at the same token, you're kind of thinking about work because it sounded like you brought back the pieces of wood and stuff that you're going to be using for pieces. But what do you do to kind of make sure that you're constantly giving yourself permission to take those breaks that you need?
So I'll tell you the thing that inspires me to take breaks. So I have to deal with people all day in my job. I have to be a people person. I have to have a smile even when things are hard. That's part of my job. So what I have found, if I do not take breaks, and sometimes that means locking my front door and saying I'll be back in 15 minutes so that I'm not interrupted and I am getting a break, it makes a difference because if I'm not in the right state of mind, I can't sell anything because I don't have the energy to give to interest people because a lot of my job is educating people what they're buying. So it's imperative that I take breaks for me to be my best self and for me to be successful at my business. 100%. And like in my years before, it wasn't like that. I was a nurse. So we
Mhm.
all worked through our breaks. I mean, it was just part of the
Yeah.
job, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that probably led into a lot of your decision to make your change in your life. I could never be a nurse, but on that same token, yeah, the same thing with, you know, even though I'm driving rideshare and I'm kind of on my own schedule, yeah, you hit it on the head. You got to always put on the smile, no matter what's going
Yeah.
on. You could have had a bad morning, and that's why I like the stretching and the meditation piece in the morning so much, because before I head out, I can kind of just debrief, do a couple of my, you know, self meditation things that I do to, you know, talk myself up. It's going to be a good day no matter what.
Hmm.
And that's why I love when I get in the car and I do my morning motivational videos because, again, I get that one more shot in the arm of, you know, especially most of them come from something that I've been dealing with that week, right? Um, So now that's huge. You gotta give yourself permission to take those breaks, to walk away, um, to just push away from what you're doing. Because I think we all come back so much stronger after those
Right.
breaks. If you
Absolutely.
sit there and you're continually grinding, 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 how many times have you been on, I like to call it autopilot? Um, when I worked for Lowe's, I was zone manager at Lowe's. I'm closing shift. We were short staffed, and I'd probably worked open to close pretty much 5 to 6 days straight. And we opened early for contractors, and then now the last day that I did it, when I finally went in and I said, "Yeah, I'm done. I can't do this anymore." I put in my notice. Um, I remember locking up. We left, said bye to the rest of the folks walking out. I remember starting my car, and then I remember putting it in park in my driveway at home. I don't remember driving home. Scariest thing in the world. And I literally had to walk around the car and make sure I didn't hit something because I don't remember driving home. That is not good. That's not healthy. That's not mentally healthy. That's not physically healthy. And we all do it. I'm sure that, and if you're in that boat, please leave it in the comments. Or if you've come out of that and you've learned from it, throw it in the comments and just talk about some of the issues that you've had with that same thing of just burning out and thinking you have to keep going. Yes, it's good to give 110% when you're trying to grow and you're trying to be a better person. But at the end of the day, we all need a break. Just that reset, that trip. It doesn't have to be to Puerto Rico. It doesn't have to be a week-long vacation. It could be, we live in Ohio. It could be a trip, an hour and a half away to Amish country. It could just be what you said earlier, the penny game. Get
Right. It
in the
could be
car,
a walk.
go for a
It
trip.
could be a
It could
walk.
be a walk.
It could
Yeah.
be getting in the woods. It could be just connecting with nature. Like there are so many things to reset us, but nature, I want to say that really quick. Nature is one of the best ways to reset. Just going somewhere that's quiet and you can look at the lake or the woods or anything that's nature oriented. I find peace in that a lot, a lot.
Yeah. The biggest thing is just find what you enjoy. If it's something you truly enjoy that pulls you away from the everyday mundane, and just take that break. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 2 hours, if it's a week, take the break, reset. I promise you'll come back stronger. Um, any other things that you want to throw into this one, Crystal, before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's it. I think it's good. Everybody should reset and find the thing that they love most and get out there and do more of it.
Yeah, 100%. Just do. If you enjoy it, just go do it. Don't stop worrying about. And I know we have to pay our bills. I understand that, but stop worrying about what happens if I step away. What happens if I spend this little bit of money to go on this trip? Um, Guess what? Tomorrow will handle itself.
That's
Just
right.
take care of yourself today. If you take care of yourself today, tomorrow will handle itself. Take those small intentional pauses. Give yourself those little micro resets, and just the biggest thing is give yourself permission to step away without the guilt. So when you come back, you're not guilt ridden that you did it. And I promise you, you will come back stronger, better, and ready to attack whatever you were doing before you left. Um, and quite honestly, if you don't take those breaks, whatever you're doing is only going to falter. You're going to end up, in my opinion, because I've done it, you're going to end up putting you're gonna have an incident where you're gonna be rushed to the hospital because you think you're having a heart attack. And the doctor's gonna tell you it was hopefully just a hypertension related event, which was what mine was, luckily. But you're not gonna want that. So take those small breaks, take the trip, take the walk, and while you're there, just be grateful for that time you have away. And then when you come back, be grateful for the time that you spent and be grateful that now you're back and you can hit the ground running and go right back to um, what you were working on. You'll come back more balanced. You're going to come back with a lot of intention as long as you do it the right way, I think.
And gratitude is really where it's at. Like we all have something to be thankful for, even if it's not right in front of our face. I want to give a little exercise really quick for people tonight before you go to bed. This is really important. This is something that's helped me. Um, when I was at my lowest, I would have trouble sleeping. And I had listened to a podcast and it had told me to do what I'm going to tell you to do, which is say out loud 5 things that you're thankful for. And listen, they don't have to be huge. They could be your damn shoes. I mean, anything. Like literally start with 5 things. Every single day you go to bed, come up with 5 different ones and do that for a week or so. I mean, being grateful is where everything starts. It's basically planting a seed for happiness.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's, yeah, 5 things. I just typed that into the computer. I'm going to actually add that into my routine with my journaling. 5 things that you're grateful for. I love that. Well, on that note, let's just wrap up this week. Crystal, welcome back for your trip. And
Thank you.
hopefully, when you, we're going to probably record one more before you take your next trip. But hopefully when you take that next trip, it goes just as smooth and you have a great time and you'll come back again refreshed and ready to rock and roll. And everybody, thank you again for sticking with us this week. And as always, stay healthy, stay balanced, and keep driving forward. We'll see you next time.